So, hello, I'm Jackie Walker, and I'm frequently delighted to be able to interview my dear friend Tom Evans. And Tom's with me today to speak about his book, This We Know. However, I'm hoping that I might ask him some slightly different questions. Tom, hi.
Oh, hi Jackie, great to blather with you again.
I always love our blenders because we never know where they go, Tom. And I've got some interesting questions for you today, which I hope you don't mind me asking you.
Fire away.
You might, you can tell me at the end if you've enjoyed them or not. Well, I read This We Know quite early on in the process, and what I'd really like to know is it has received 28 reviews, Tom, and honestly, they're glowing. Can you tell me how you're feeling about This We Know, which is different to the other of your stable of work? Because you've got a huge stable of work. But This We Know is a very different book. How are you feeling about how it's been received?
Well, I'm perplexed. I'm gobsmacked, if I can say that word. Uh, I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm expectant. I'm like a child, actually, almost in a sweet spot. I mean, this book is weird because I didn't plan to write it. It wasn't on the list. It wasn't even in my project plan of things I was going to do this year. It wrote itself in no time. It got published in no time.
Yeah.
And I thought I'll just share it with the world and see what happens. Thinking that it's almost like a super blog, really. It's not, it's 10,000 words or so. It doesn't take long to read.
Sure.
And I thought that the people that read my other stuff, that the people that have read other books would resonate with it. But it seems to be opening up a whole new audience for me of people that have never read anything I've written. And mainly because it's completely out of kilter with anything I've written. Because the other work tends to be researching maybe the esoteric side of the world or the metaphysical side and trying to explain it in real world practical context. Whereas this book is real thought piece. And it's not a thought piece in terms of, I guess, what you might call a polemic, but it's almost like a clarion call. It's almost challenging people to say, this is what we think we know, this is what we don't know, but this specifically is what we could know. And how we think right now, and what we think right now, and what we do right now, completely changes everything going forward. And I think that we've come great strides as a species over the last 100, 200, 300 years to get to this level of knowing, where we know so much more than we ever knew before. But so many people seem to rely on the government or the state or the scientists or religions for the answers. And you know what? No politicians have never really... haven't got too much experience of running countries. They're all having a go at it. Most scientists don't really know how we got here, and most religions don't. They think there might be a God, but they don't know for sure. And so nobody knows anything for sure. And,
No, because there is no for sure.
There is no for sure. And I think what's really important is that it's not down to the them. It's not down to the system. It's down to each one of us now to make a change, and that's so thrilling.
Yeah. So you used a couple of words in amongst your great what you're feeling with the effects of the book and what it's giving you. Expectations. Now that's an interesting word because you did say expectant almost. What kind of expectations do you have for either yourself or the book?
Well, I think it can go big. It's like, a lot of the stuff I've written to date have been quite niche. I write a book about writer's block, for example.
Sure.
And that will only affect writers and perhaps writers of a particular persuasion. I've done treatises, on the major and minor arcana of the tarot, bringing them into a contemporary audience. Now, these are niche books, and there's a big audience for these, but it's not every single man, woman, and child on the planet. And so, this book is something everybody can read, and also it's a book that a huge age range can read. Bearing in mind, there's 1 billion or 2 billion people on the planet that can't read at all. But out of the people that can read, they have had 12-year-old children reading the book, and people in their 70s and 80s reading it, and people of a non-spiritual persuasion who never read my work reading it. So it's all of a sudden I've just written something that's got this huge audience.
What do you think the button is that you're pressing?
I think I'm pressing the button that I think enough people are tired now. I think
Yep.
people are bored.
Yep.
I think they're also, that in over the last 200 years, religion stopped providing the answer. Then we looked to science, and science has provided some answers. It's provided the technology we're having this conversation over, which is fantastic. But it's also created the global warming and everything else that we've got.
Yep.
But I think what the button is, it's not down to them. It's down to us. And also, all that we need to do is for each one of us to make a change, and then collectively that change in feeling will ripple out and the change will happen. So
What do you think that feeling is?
Well, let's take a good example. Let's say that we decide that wars are a bad idea, right?
Okay.
If we just get bored with all the warmongers, they will stop. If we get bored with the terrorists as opposed to angry at them, they'll stop. And they'll come round to a different way of thinking. If we get bored with taking drugs or being obese, and if we get bored with bad habits, they will simply go away. If we get bored with advertisers, they'll stop advertising.
Because it stops serving the purpose.
Exactly,
It stops the secondary gain that we get from it.
Exactly. And also, if we get bored with not reaching our own magnificence.
Now that's an interesting one.
Yeah, exactly.
That could.
Yeah, so often it's great to say it's great to say things like, "Oh, I can't ever do that because of the system, because of this, that, and the other."
Yep.
Because
Yep.
we've always got these excuses. Or one day I'll do it when I retire, or I'll do it next year. I'll go on the diet next year in the new year. I'll do that, this, that, and the other. It's good but to actually get bored with saying, you know what, I'm not going to wait till next week. I'm just going to do it. Just going to publish this book. I'm just going to go and pick up this sport. I'm just going to go and learn this new skill. I'm going to travel. I'm going to do something. I'm going to say hi to my neighbour that I've never said hi to ever. I'm going to go into work and I'm going to smile all day. I'm not going to get angry like I used to get angry. Yeah. And almost this idea that we can kind of just get tired of the way it used to be and just change, but not to have to wait forever for the change to happen, to make that change tomorrow or right now.
I love that, and I do believe it happens.
Yeah, just then to sit back and observe and watch what happens when that change is made.
And what do you think? Given that it wasn't in your plan, if it wasn't, it just appeared, this book, as they do often. Do you think there's any relevance to the timing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk, isn't there, about things like 2012 and Armageddon and Ascension and this sort of thing. And I think that we are coming to a shift point right now. It's not totally clear what that shift's all about, but it's akin to the shift that happened maybe 1 million or 2 million years ago, where as humans or humanoids, we got self-awareness and we got the word.
Right, okay.
And I think we're going through a similar shift, and that shifts in a leap in our capabilities. And I've started to see sort of had like sneak previews of what that looks like with the people I've been working with, and the kind of the work I've been doing with authors and businesses, where I've been doing a lot of fear removal, but at the same time I take the fears out of the way. I've been installing new levels of consciousness in people, and it's almost like, as a species, if you think about it, we can't possibly be stuck. Evolution is a continual thing, and no one ever thinks about the evolution of mind. We look at the fossil record.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sure.
Yeah, we look at smaller humanoids and how we've grown and how we got taller and taller and taller and this sort of stuff, and maybe as our biochemistry has changed, but we don't have that much of a fossil record of mind apart from our culture and our art.
No.
And I think from an evolutionary
Nor
perspective,
emotion, actually.
yeah, yeah, our mind is exactly our mind is just about to go through a leap of capabilities, and those leaps of capabilities are fueled by our imagination as to what is possible. So, for
Yes.
example, if we want to live in a world where we all levitate and bilocate and all that sort of stuff, and telepathy and all of those sort of things that are maybe frowned upon or seen as things that are not possible, or they're just a bit woo woo and wacky. We want to live in that world. We can create that world, but obviously we've got to learn how to use any new skill, and not for it to blow up on ourselves, if you know what I mean. If we want to live in a world where especially maybe more practical than that, where we don't get ill, and
Where we stay healthy.
we stay healthy, right? And illness is a dis-ease as opposed to an illness, and that virtually every single illness is self-generated, and we own up to that. So when you get ill, you say, "Okay, what have I created? Let's not go and take a pill," right?
Yeah.
And this has huge ramifications, in terms
totally.
of our well-being, our longevity, the spend. So let's say we've got in this country, I think it must be billions and billions of pounds that we're spending on healthcare. Then that could be spent in a better way. It could be spent in education, for example. It could be spent in regenerating areas that are slightly depressed and need some investment. It can be invested in having fun. And
now you're talking my language.
Exactly. Yeah, and then that's just we're just talking
we
UK.
Could talk forever about that one. I'd love that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of if there's anything that is being preached in the book, it's just for us all to be on planet Earth having a better time. And I talk about a sort of liberal hedonism. People think
there's this feeling that we're here and life's got to be a struggle, and it's and we get up and we go to work and we go home and then we come back and we go to work again, and everyone's on this. It's almost like that treadmill life of must do, when this is how it has to be, and it's baloney, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, and I know that I know the work I'm doing now is something I never envisaged. I had no idea that the kind of work I do with authors, with the unblocking and this sort of stuff, was even a job title. And they say something like that something like 40% of job titles now didn't exist 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
And so we can imagine that in another 10 years' time, let's just have a load of really good job titles. So instead of having somebody that looks after health and safety, let's have a chief wellness officer. And we can have the CEO being like a chief enlightenment officer, and so we can change roles around so there's more fun and everything's got a positive spin on it. Health and safety is all about fear, and the insurance companies won't be needed because what are you insuring against? Because it's not going to happen.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And that might sound bad if you're an insurance broker, but it just means that we've got to remodel everything. And when we remodel everything, we've got a chance to re-engineer it from the ground up. So it's just much more powerful.
And how many insurance brokers really enjoy being insurance brokers and impinging fear upon their clients?
Well, yeah, who enjoys having to put an insurance claim in? Really? You don't want the hassle that goes with it, do you?
No.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So let's not have these accidents. Let's not manifest them. Or if we do have things that are unforeseen, that we have sort of a kind of a fund that we can dip into. It might sound a bit, I guess, communist, but in the book I like playing with hyphens, and I call it communist, not communist, which has got a slightly different connotation to it. And we just get a chance to remodel the way that we are. We're on this rock together. We're sharing this journey, right? It's not every man, woman, and child against every other man, woman, and child. We are here. We definitely know we're here for a while because we haven't learned how to go to other planets yet. And we know that we've probably got finite lifespans at the moment, so we may as well get the most out of them. And we know that we're smart, and we know that we've got the smarts and the inventiveness to invent a new way of being.
Oh, sure have. Now, which of your thoughts of in this we know for the future was your favourite?
I like the Levitons. I think they're just brilliant. And I talk about this faster than light drive that goes in every single Leviton, and I only wrote it from a pure fun thing. And just so you have not read the book, this is about cars that are sort of levitating and just go around the place, and they know where they're going, and they never crash into each other. So you can just sit back and you can go and have a drink and just be driven home and that sort of stuff. And
Drunk driving, you mean?
I know. Or drunk being driven, I suppose it is. But it's all very safe because there's no insurance and no insurance premiums because nothing crashes into it. So the Levitons are great. And what's interesting about it is, one is that I came back because I wrote this book on holiday without, I wasn't connected to the internet. And I came back and I put Leviton into Google, and I found there's a huge company in America called Leviton. And I might well have just channeled the future where they are the manufacturer of these faster than light devices. So I'm planning this week to send a book over to their chairman and chief exec just to say, look, out of complete courtesy, this thing just arrived. And I didn't even know you existed because I don't know if Leviton's that big in the UK even. But it's just a bit of fun. And also I got it with a small L and they're a big L, obviously. But what's interesting about the faster than light drive is that we all own one today. And the faster than light drive is our brain. Because our brain can zoom anywhere in the galaxy in less than a microsecond. It can go backwards and forwards in time faster than the speed of light.
I can feel mine right now while you talk about it.
And when we learn how to harness the power of our brain and link our brain to our technology, a whole new world opens up for us. And I think that's what the next 100 years has got for us, this way that we kind of merge technology and brain. But it's not like the Terminator and all this sort of stuff where it's like the rise of the robots. It's not that. It's the melding of technology and consciousness and our ability to connect with it. Now we all see examples of this, by the way. So you have days when the internet doesn't work and things go wrong. We know that our energy can make electrical things go wrong already. It's just that we're not in control of it. So just imagine then being able to get in control of that and having that mind-matter interface more harnessed. And so the Levitons are actually levitated by the people that are sitting inside them.
Tom, that is magnificent. If there was a question that you really wanted to be asked that you haven't been asked about the book, what would it be?
Who would I like most on the planet to read it?
Oh, go on then. Let's hear.
I've got a list. I've got 3 people I want to read it. I want Mrs. Obama to read it, the Dalai Lama, and the Pope.
Fantastic.
They're the 3 people at the top of my list.
Are there reactions that you would like from them?
I want the Pope to actually start making changes now. So Pope Joan, that I talk about at the end of this century, can actually take over. So we have the first female Pope. He can also sort out the stupid policy on condoms as well, because that will really help a lot. I want Mrs. Obama, to put it in front of Mr. Obama, because he can start making some of the changes now as well. And I want the Dalai Lama just to have a laugh, because he's such a funny guy.
I love that.
He
needs a laugh. He's very laughy.
Exactly. I want it to make him smile.
Oh, how lovely. Tom, I love that. What a beautiful thought process. And thank you for letting us know what you know. And this we know you can get on Amazon, both .com.co.uk. Go and read the reviews. It's just fabulous. One of my favourite books ever. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. And one of my favourite books ever too. So I don't think I've ever owned up to that. So thank you for asking some lovely probing questions and getting things out of me that no other human has before. Thank you for that, Jackie.
You're so welcome.
Take care. Bye.